Um, okay. I hope this is working. Um, I had it done. I can't believe. I saw how short it was, but it wasn't obviously. And I don't know. I got a little in the zone and just kept going, but I did the work. I don't know what's gonna happen, but and I'll give you the short version. I mean, I did edit it, but here is a version. No one else is gonna watch it, so here's the version I did for myself. Um, all right, past that. So here it goes. Hi, my name is Josh, and I'm an alcoholic. The slide comes up, and then I'm going to read the preamble. So, Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength, and hope with each other that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organization, or institution, does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose, and remember that, our primary purpose is to stay sober and to help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. So that's the AA preamble, and don't worry, no one's at an intervention. Um, it's not written in stone anywhere, but that's how most AA meetings start, which makes sense because it pretty comfortably lays out the situation for anyone new in the room. Yeah, it says, hey, we've all got the same problem. Few of us have figured it out. So as long as you want help, you're welcome. It's free, and the only detail or important thing we care about you is you're one of us. So, I mean, it's interesting. Think about that. How many organizations exist on a personal level, which such a single? Say most people are aware of the 12 steps of AA. Adults have heard of that. But the primary purpose to carry its message to the one who still suffers. And that's from the 12 and 12, the 12 steps and 12 traditions, the 2013 version. To carry its message to the one who still suffers. And many still do suffer, in fact. And I think, in my opinion, AA itself is hurt a little bit right now. So hopefully, in a few minutes, you can decide to do something that will cost you nothing for the sake of the countless lives they still have to help. AA has stayed strong through the years. It currently has an estimated 2.1 million members in 150 countries. It is an astonishing achievement, but numbers for membership have been stagnant for quite a long time now. It's the next slide. I have 1990 till now on there, and a couple years ago. The group, when it started, was growing literally exponentially some years, and then still had healthy numbers after that. But what we see up here on the slide is consistent small gains and losses. So, what could the reasons be? The number of people who qualify for membership can't be down. Alcoholics are still being born. And it seems to me that drugs are more prevalent. Is there a statistic I could put out that you would say, no way about the opioid crisis? I don't think so. We expect anything. So institutions like AA are the backstop for many people when they have nowhere else to go. A substance use disorder is a terrible thing to face alone. AA was built by people who have an answer that it works for some people. No one has the answer, but they've been handing it out free since 1939. One alcoholic, a simple plan of 12 steps to the steps by the original group to ensure the future prosperity of AA. So the big book came out in 1939, and then it was 1940 or 52 that the 12 came out. AA, they had to get it going. They learned a lot very quickly, and at the time, a bunch of sober drunks was not a thing you saw very often. I mean, in fact, they were a phenomenon. no one method or philosophy or the crazy things they used to try, even in the hospitals, and no one had ever had repeatable success like they were achieving. In the midst of magazine articles they were on and fancy dinners, more than once those dinners were with a certain Mr. Rockefeller, that Jr. The group, I mean, when they were that big, they needed to decide what worked and what didn't, for the benefit of the members to come after them. And once again, they nailed it. They hit a home run with this balance of self accountability, and it installed measures to protect the singleness of purpose, to make sure they were always ready for the next person who walks in the door. Right, that's the most important person. Um, so we'll take a lull in our exploration of that. Let's just say they are keeping vigil for a number of years as other 12-step programs sprout up around them. And the medical community is coming up and running right beside them. That happened very early on. The doctors they wanted to eat up every bit of it because they couldn't do it. So they first came looking for guidance and with relief, but then technology is advancing and the scientists keep a pace and then take it over. Um, they All the new things that are coming out, they're developing new therapeutic techniques as technology is advancing. They're able to see the brain as it is being stimulated, and everything they see over and over and over again is deepening the idea that addiction is a disease of the brain. Right, it exists in a complex biopsychosocial framework, and just to explain that, that is addiction is a disease you need to think about from the biology, the psychology, and the outer things. Right, it's not just you are born predisposed to it, and but everything was saying it is not, in fact, a moral faming, or sorry, moral failing. I'm very tired. Um, and that has been most of the time the view since the humans, crushed the first grapes, and there was a couple of them that they just couldn't stop drinking. Um, but it was all like the founders of AA had been saying since the start. In the big book, they talk about craving, the phenomenon of craving. And today, in the new DSM, right, the Diagnostic Manual for Mental Health, they talk about it too. And AA did that without science. Um, but that just meant that the minds of science and the minds of the purposefully never going to be professional members of Alcoholics Anonymous, they had one more thing in common. They knew that minds of the people who either lacked the scientific understanding or the experience of the torturous pain, it was difficult to change their minds. As an organization built with practice, insight into human nature, and more importantly, a laser focus on what was important, maintain sobriety and giving that away. It's difficult to knock an entity like that off its path. Built in everything they do is the consideration and forethought based on the experience, and not being afraid to give into an idea that seems right, even though it doesn't sound right. And just here's a joke, just in consideration of time, let's just do one of them, one of the traditions. And we're going to talk about 11 today. It is, quote, our public relations policy is based on attraction rather than promotion. We need to always maintain personal anonymity at the level of press, radio, and films. Okay, the anonymous part goes without saying. Then and now, the stigma attached to alcoholism or any kind of mental health, if the person can get so far as to admitting that alcoholism is a mental health issue, in any variety of ways, their deep emotion attached to that no one can rival, because someone, say, with the experience of an alcoholic parent or boyfriend or sister, those are deep-seated feelings, I think. But it seems, and this is a quote again from the 12 and 12, um, that the anonymous part was paying off just fine. With its legions of well wishers, AA could never have grown as it has. Throughout the world, immense and favorable publicity of every description has been the principal means of bringing alcoholics into our fellowship. I mean, in AA offices, clubs, homes, telephones ring constantly. One voice says, I read a piece in the newspaper. Another said, we have a radio program. And still another, we saw a moving picture. We saw something about AA on television. It's no exaggeration to say that half of AA's membership has been led to us through channels like these, right? So they let the people who saw what AA did talk for them, and it's worked. It's the decentralized and adaptable nature of the program and the simplicity of the structure on a macro level that is one of the reasons it remains around to help people today. As far as I wasn't going to talk about this, but I think it really fits. No one in the entire organization of AA really has the ability to demand anything of anyone else. There's the GSO, right? The big office in New York. That is the headquarters. I think there's 80 people working there, and they have a committee of 14 alcoholics and 7 non-alcoholics, and they rotate. No one is fully in charge, and that's what keeps them around. And as far as action rather than promotion, I mean, that I think is where the problem is today. They're willing, but it's not amazing anymore that some programs that have evolved from AA are ubiquitous enough in popular culture. I think that with that and AA itself, by the time someone is old enough to be questioning their drinking problem, Google will be a bountiful search. AA in my town, find AA meeting. And then that person is there mostly. I mean, it's call the number, right to the email address, but really just show up. The courage to get there for them will be the hardest point. And when they walk in, if someone doesn't notice right away they're new, and they usually will, it will soon become apparent. People's energies are open there. So while it may have lost the excitement and the energy it controlled within the zeitgeist of the early days, I think it's settled into an old loyal dog waiting for you in the same spot when you come home and you're ready. Here's a slide. The recommendations you can see come from health providers, judges, treatment facilities. They are bringing in membership to at least keep it at an equilibrium. AA isn't always the right fit, and in my opinion, it's only a piece, but it's a good piece of a first sobriety endeavor. Fail or not, you're going to leave with things. But as far as its ability to both recognize and then manage to keep in focus the duty we owe to each other for all these years in an organization that is 2.1 million people that will have me as part of its legion of well-wishers for the foreseeable future. So I think what the thing people can do for free is to be one of those. It's more valuable than anything else because the singleness of purpose to pass the message on is the root that all of the energy put into the group springs out of. Jeezy Pete's. So that was my long version. 14 minutes. I will do the shorter version, but this one I could just sort of talk. And that one, I know performance is a big consideration with this stuff. So yeah, I don't know if you're going to watch this, but I put the energy in. It was important, and Stuff's just been rolling at me. Stuff's just been rolling at me real heavy lately, and it's all coming at once. So, thanks. I don't know how to end this either.